We have received a tip-off about a rescue operation by the DCI Child Protection Unit and the State Department for Social Protection involving a 3-year-old boy who is under the custody, guardianship of an American couple. Now the DCI detectives are going to take back the child, and we are trailing them right now to understand what this is about. The detectives have allowed us to film on condition that we conceal their identity.
Hi. Good. What's going on? What is up, Sorry. No. Where are you coming in? You're coming. Excuse me. What is it? Why are you here? I'm absolutely happy to let you see the child, to do whatever you need to do, but that would come through a court order. That would come from the court saying we have a concern. So if there is a concern and the court has said there's a concern and that's documented, then we will do whatever the court asks us to do.
You don't want to use any force?
Of course.
But whichever way, you want to see the kid.
Of course.
You are going to show the child.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
But why can't we ask our attorney if this is within the law? Why can't we speak to our attorney to see if this is within the law?
We're very happy.
We're willing to cooperate, but I would like to let my attorney know and make sure that he's here to make sure everything that's happening is within the law.
We are talking about someone that is not here. Let us see him.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But have you? So we have just established that you are the hands and the feet of the court.
While this was going on, notice the authorities forming a ring around the couple.
Excuse me. Did you just take him?
Yes, we've taken him.
You've taken him? Are you kidding me? They've just taken Keanu. They've taken him right now.
That's the law.
Wait, it is not the law. You have literally taken him. You have literally you're kidnapping a child right now. You are kidnapping a child. Yes, you are going against the court order. She's calling for help because you're literally kidnapping a child.
Can I see your papers? Bring your passport.
You know, sir, I can't.
Bring your passport. Go bring your passport.
Sir,
Well, sit down and shut up.
The child had been whisked away. It was so swift that even we missed it.
I want to see your passport.
We trailed the car carrying baby Jonathan, whose real name and identity we have concealed due to the sensitivity of the matter. We find him under the care of government social workers, completely oblivious of what is going on. Only a week before this, the team had carried out another rescue operation within the city. At the center of this was another boy, aged 4.5. Baby Edward, whose real name and identity we have also concealed, is reunited with his parent and grandparents soon after. The anxiety from the events of the day and being around strangers is overwhelming. The mother, Monica Kawira, is overcome by emotion. It's been almost 4 years since she last held her son. Thank you. Please. We find the adoptive parents of baby Edward and the guardians of baby Jonathan days after the operations. They are still in shock and distraught from the harrowing experience.
I had some commotion in the house and I went and checked. And there were men and women, and there were 2 men holding guns. So you can imagine my shock. My elder son came, the younger one didn't. So I got worried and I went downstairs looking for him because I kept calling and he wasn't coming. I went outside and that's when I saw there were 3 cars parked outside. In one of the cars, he was inside. He had been bundled in a blanket. And he was looking at me scared, because I know his look when he's scared. And this was 100 times what I've seen before.
Good. What's going on?
Police officers.
Sorry.
No,
Where are you coming in?
you're coming.
I was shocked when I saw all these people, and I was hugely threatening to see all these people suddenly in your living room that don't look like police officers. They've got head coverings, the women are wearing scarves, some of the men are wearing hats and visors, and they're not telling us who they are and what they want, they're just telling us to sit down. And I said to them, I need to call my attorney, and they said, you're not calling anyone, sit down.
NTV Investigates set out on a fact-finding mission on what exactly transpired in the cases of baby Jonathan and Edward. Kiambu town, 16 kilometers from the capital. The police station is our first stop in the search of records pointing to the origin of baby Jonathan. We find OB number 16 of 12th January 2016, which reads, the Kirigiti Assistant Chief Stanley Gikwa phone number reported on 12th January 2016 that he was called by a Good Samaritan to report a case of child abandonment inside Rowe Forest. We find the Assistant Chief, who directs us to the location of the abandonment.
It was in this bush. They were wrapped in a green polythene bag.
The two of them?
The two of them.
They clothed?
They were not clothed.
Okay.
But the one who was under had bruises on his arm. Okay. Yes. We found them and we talked to the ladies who gave towels, and they were wrapped in them, and from there I handed them to the police officers in the company of 2 area ladies.
Okay. What, in your assessment, was the age approximately? How old were they at the time they were found?
I think it was 1 day old.
Baby Jonathan survived, but his twin brother did not. Upon the release of the child from the Kiambu District Hospital in early February or January 2016 thereabout, the child was committed to this children's home referred to as John Pity Children's Home by the Kiambu Children's Department. Now, it is also on record that a woman by the name Gathoni Hamilton Kirima would come here and take the child from the home and take him home with her, and that this woman is actually related to Daisy Machonchini, and that Daisy got to know about the child around the same time this was happening, and therefore the Children's Department in Kiambu got concerned about the manner in which the child was being taken from this children's home to a different home without official documentation, without an official custody arrangement. This children's officer by the name Rachel filed a petition in court seeking that the child be taken from this home and be committed to a different home for the sake of his safety, coming from those concerns. Details are scanty on how Bishop Gathoni Kirima often took the child from Jean Petit home and how, together with Daisy, they related with the child. This PNC Order 66 from the Kiambu Court, dated 18th November 2016, committed baby Jonathan to Mogra Children's Home in Kasarani Sub-County for a period of 6 months. Back to baby Edward. 18th May 2014 in Kibera, Soweto. A woman by the name Monica Kawira is arrested alongside her 1-week-old baby and taken to the high-rise AP camp on a suspected case of child neglect. She and her child are later brought to Kilimani police station and placed in custody. Here we find 2 OB reports concerning Monica and her child. OB 91 of 18th May 2014 reads, Monica Kawira Kinoti is escorted from high-rise AP camp for the offense of child neglect after she was arrested by one Agnes, assisted by the public, all now placed in cells while appearing fit. Another OB, number 45, recorded on 19th May 2019, reads, I, Police Constable Pauline Tundu, do now hand over a child 2 weeks old whose mother is in custody under the instruction of Inspector Mambo to New Life Home Trust since the child is in need of care and protection. The mother was still in custody, and that was the last time she saw her child. She would later be charged in court and jailed for 7 months for the offense of child neglect, and baby Edward offered for adoption. We find Kawira on the day of her reunion with her child on March 30th, 2019. Her accounts of the arrest refutes the police's accusation of neglect.
Polisi walikutoa wapi? Kwa nyumba yangu niliambiwa nifungue juu nilikuwa nimemwacha kidogo niende ninunue dawa.
Kwa hivyo hiyo sekunde ndogo za kwenda kununua dawa ndio
mama walifahamia. Fungua, toa mtoto. Mmoja akachukua wakanipeleka. Sasa kwenda station nikapewa mtoto. Kulala hiyo siku, kesho yake wakachukua. Halafu nikapelekwa Lang'ata. Kutoka Lang'ata si ndio sasa nilipatana na hiyo maneno. Sijarudishiwa mtoto, nimeenda kotini. Nikiuliza naambiwa hakuna mtoto, huwezi kosa kuendelea na hiyo kesi sababu ya mtoto. Sasa ikakaa hivyo mpaka nikaachiliwa, nikafungwa under probation. Nikakuja nyumbani.
And just like that, Monica Kawira had lost a second child on charges of neglect and abandonment. Another of baby Edward's 7 siblings, also in this video, had been offered for adoption by the same institutions that handled baby Edward. The child was to be adopted by a foreign couple who later opted out upon realizing that the parents existed and wanted their child back. This was despite being allowed to adopt by the court.
Unatoka wapi?
Back to baby Jonathan at Mogra Children's Home. We find John and Hannah Njoroge, Jambo, the founders and directors, and Simon Karugu, the operations manager.
So we are following up on this case about the baby who was put under.
They pull out all their documentation regarding the minor. Daisy's interest in the child, they say, did not end at John Petit. She followed him here, having had a special attachment to him.
So initially, after admitting the kid here, and after the kid getting sick and being admitted to Gertrude, and we asked for the medical history, she really helped us, and of course the kid was admitted in the hospital. And after being admitted in the hospital, she paid for the bill, which was amounting to 1.5 million. And so she started volunteering in the institution. So that's the moment she knew where the kid was. So after some time I cannot be able to confirm for now, she came and told us it's good for her to stay with the kid so that she can be able to do, if there's an emergency, she can rush her to hospital, that is Gertrude. We said we can give out the kid to Daisy, she can stay with the kid with accompaniment of our social worker. With time, she came and reported to us, she told us her husband is coming from abroad and now they need a free area in their privacy. So she opted that Sarah, our social worker, should come back to the children's center. So we told her we cannot let the kid go without anyone accompanying on our side. And the children department advised us, that's Mr. Umbasa, that we can give the foster care. So after doing the inspection, we filled the form, and the form initially was filled between Mogra and the senior chief, the area chief, and the children department, of which they are supposed to be signed in triplicate.
What were the provisions of this foster care agreement? How long was it supposed to take? What were the rules of engagement in it?
He was given the foster care for 3 months. But in between, the kid is supposed to be brought in the children's center for monitoring and evaluation. But along the way, after 1 month was over, we started calling Daisy and asking her to bring the kid back. That woman, she did not pick her phone. So we did a mail.
In the email, Mogra writes, "Just to reiterate the importance of keeping the home in the loop regarding the minor. The child is under your foster but is committed to Mogra. If anything happens, it is us who will be held responsible." To which Daisy responded, "So sorry for the delay. I have been very busy with a visitor. I will get back to you this weekend." After a few exchanges, Daisy told Mogra to engage her lawyer instead. Then she went quiet.
We go to the Children Protection Unit, which is in South B. And there we met Madam Grace, who was assigned as some officers, was Madam Evelyn and Madam Margaret, and we did our statement. They realized that Daisy is not in Nairobi, because we had already gone to Daisy's place when we were reporting, and we saw that we were told she had vacated, or she is no longer there. So they told us the best thing we can do, we can look for the signal, the number we gave, and they realized that this signal is being found in Diani. So we decided on a coming day we should be traveling to Mombasa, to Ukunda, so that we can be able to rescue the kid. Fortunately or unfortunately, before the day came, they told us the signal has shifted. Now it is being seen around Kiuna, Westgate. How she handled the foster care makes us raise more alarm, because if you need to bring the kid after 1 month, and then after 1 month you don't pick the phone call, and you need to say we need to talk with your lawyer, we did not engage through your lawyer. We engage through the children officer of who acts on behalf of Director of Children Services.
While all this was going on, Daisy had filed an application to the Children's Court on 22nd February 2017 seeking legal guardianship of baby Jonathan. But in the application, Daisy and her new lawyer, Danstan Omari, listed Jean Petit and Gadhoni Kirima as respondents, ignoring Mogra, despite the fact that the children's home had legal custody at the time. A day later, Senior Resident Magistrate M.A. Utindo granted the orders appointing Daisy as interim guardian.
Considering that we were the legal custodian of the kid, and now the guardianship process is ongoing without our consent, without us knowing, we decided to do an appeal, probably to be enjoined in this ongoing, because this was an interim case, so that we can be enjoined to be an interested party, having the custodian being given by the court that we are the one having the commitment of the child.
Mogra's appeal would later be thrown out and a restraining order issued against them.
In every allegation that we're planning to leave the country.
Daisy's husband, Matthew Sean Matsonchini, arrived in the country in March of 2017. Around the same time, the couple was preparing to apply for full guardianship. On March 13, 2017, the couple was back in court, Matthew filing an affidavit seeking full parental responsibility of the minor. 2 days later, their lawyer Omari filed an application asking the court to move with speed. The children's officer's report has been filed in court, he wrote. The children's officer's report is a crucial document in granting alternative family care. It is done by children's officers to ascertain the fitness of the prospective adoptive parents or guardians. But it is this report, dated 2nd March 2017 and admitted in court on 15th March, that has raised even more questions. First, it acknowledges Mogra as having custody of the child, but states that the child was committed there in 1998, but somehow, at the time of the application in 2017, the minor was only 1 year and 2 months old. With this acknowledgement of custody at Mogra, the report ought to have been written by the Kasarani Sub-County Office under whose jurisdiction Mogra falls, and not Kiambu. The report is written and signed by one Pauline Muya, supposedly a children's officer in Kiambu. NTV Investigates can authoritatively confirm that this individual has never been stationed at the Kiambu Sub-County Office. We have since established that she was in Limuru at the time, but is currently stationed at the head office. Notice how the signature appears to have been superimposed. Mogra would later write to Kiambu Children's Office asking if the report came from them. There was no response. Based on that report, which has since gone missing in the court records and other submissions, the same magistrate M.A. Otindo appointed Matthew and Daisy Matsonchini legal guardians of baby Jonathan on 4th of April 2017. Back to baby Edward. He stayed at New Life Home Trust for 7 months. In December 2014, he was declared free for adoption. It is a process that was aided by what appears to be deliberately inaccurate correspondence between the police, New Life Home Trust and Little Angels Network, the adoption society that placed the minor to the Kenyan couple. Section 159(1)(a) of the Children's Act dictates that abandonment may be presumed if the child appears to have been abandoned at birth and if the institution having care of the child has not seen or heard from the parent or guardian for at least 6 months. In this police letter to New Life Home Trust, signed by Inspector Lydia Mambo on behalf of the OCS Kilimani, dated 19th May 2014, she writes, "The above-named boy was found abandoned at Kibera, Soweto and rescued by a Good Samaritan who reported to Kilimani Police Station via OB 91-1805-2014. Kindly continue giving care as we carry out investigations into the whereabouts of the mother." 6 months later, on 21st November 2014, OCS Bernard Kenyatta wrote another letter. The above-named baby was found by a Good Samaritan at Kibera, Soweto, who reported to Kilimani Police Station via OB 91-1805-2014. Efforts to trace the parents have proved fruitless and no claims have been made to date. May you accord the child the best he deserves. These letters appear to have been crafted to meet the above legal requirements, subsequently leading to the declaration of baby Edward free for adoption. Only they were inaccurate. The baby was not abandoned, rather was in the company of the mother when she was arrested, and the police officers knew only too well her whereabouts. After 2 years of a court battle between Kawira against the adoptive parents, New Life Home Trust and Little Angels Network, in which her fitness and the best interest of the child were raised, the court ruled in favor of the respondents, granting Charles Omanga and Washeke Nduati legal adoption of baby Edward. But a day later, the Child Welfare Society of Kenya, which was enjoined in the case as an interested party, sponsored a petition to a lower court by baby Edward's grandfather Mngiti Mutiga and Kawira as the respondent, but without the legal adoptive parents. The grandfather, Mutiga, wanted guardianship of the baby. Their prayers were granted in record time. The minor would be taken back by the state a year after that order and reunited with the grandparents. NTV Investigates has obtained reports alleging that New Life Home Trust and Little Angels Network could have been complicit in the suspected cover-up with the police to ensure the child was free for adoption. Section 177(7)(d) of the Children's Act dictates that where the child appears to have been abandoned, adoption societies and children's homes must ensure that as far as possible they take necessary steps to trace the parents or relatives of the child. Section 158 requires consent on the part of a parent or guardian before the child is placed for adoption. And so we went to New Life Home Trust seeking their response to this.
Can you tell the receptionist that I'm just here to follow up on a case? I was here last week. Na wakaniambia niandike email, which I did. Sasa nimekuja tu kufuatilia. I just need to talk to them. The receptionist can remember me. and she knows who I spoke to, two ladies.
Wataniambia hapana nisipofungulia. So Derki niseme tu
Amesema hapana, usitufungulie, utukataze kuingia.
sana mimi mwanamke niseme tu vile.
Sawa, it's okay.
Kuliko niende hivi.
Sawa.
Sawa.
All right. Thank you. We have been denied access into New Life Home Trust. We are being told that they cannot speak to us. We came here 1 week ago and requested for an interview, for an interrogation with them to understand what happened with this specific minor. And they told us to write an email to them requesting for that interview, which we did. 1 week later, they haven't responded. That's why we came here to follow up on that. We've been denied access. They're saying we cannot be allowed to go in there and they cannot speak to us. Now they've given me the contact for their lawyer to talk to them.
Little Angels Network, however, agreed to an interview. They have maintained that they acted above board in handling the adoption case of baby Edward.
The court established last year that the adoption agency acted legally and that the adoptions were actually being done properly in adherence to the legal provisions. So I'd say it's regrettable that we got to where we got.
You are required to do anything possible to reunite the child with the biological parents, and this involves then family tracing in that case. Why did you not do that?
We did our tracing based on the information that was provided. There was an OB number, so what we do is we will go to the police station and peruse the OB record to see what it states, and in most cases what we're looking out for is any further information. This is the OB that we worked on.
Yes. It says there, I, Inspector Pauline Tundu, do now hand over the child 2 weeks old whose mother is in custody under the instructions of Inspector Mambo to New Life Home Trust. That's the one you told me you saw last time.
Yes.
Which it also says clearly that the mother is in custody.
You see, when the mother is in custody, we do not know the mother is in custody for what. Because there's a police letter. You need to read this OB together with the letter from the OCS Kilimani.
Yes.
You know, you cannot read one document in isolation.
But before this, you told me you did not know the mother existed.
No, we did not know the mother existed.
And upon looking at this, surely this was some good information you could have acted on.
Edmond, what we receive is police letters. The police letters, and based on the police letters, we send out our social workers to go and do further investigations based on the letters that we have. So this is the OB that we perused. And based on this, actually, I can tell you, we actually try to follow up. Is there any more information? And eventually the letter, there's no contact there. Maybe I should throw the question back to you. If you're given such a letter, how would you trace the mother?
I'd ask the police, because if it says custody, it says then that the person is under police. You should have seen this if you looked at the OB records.
That was not in the OB record. I think in this case, the confusing thing is that there were two OB records. So we can only follow based on the OB number provided to us. A later OB number is introduced in court when the matter is now attracted court attention. Then we get a new OB number. In fact, this strange OB number that you have is not referred to in any of the police letters. If you look at the police letters signed by the OCS, none of them refers to this strange OB number.
But both OB records indicate clearly that the mother was in custody, and the police letters Little Angels refers to both reflect OB number 91 of 18th May 2014.
Well, I'm not able to comment further about that because...
Yes, then does that mean that the police gave you records that did not, reflect the
I wouldn't blame the police. I wouldn't state anything.
You're not blaming them. You just say that what they gave you was not the exact information. Then in that case, because if this came to light at some
point, the OB.
A mother was claiming her child back and all of that, you still considered from a moral point of view that the best thing for you to do was give out the child for adoption.
Edmond, I think you're misquoting me. I've just reported, I've just said it clearly that our position which has always been our position on every matter that we handle, that the biological family is the best placed family for any child to grow in. So we have no intention whatsoever to take a child whose mother is out there and place them in adoption.
But that's what happened.
This may have happened based on the records that we have. We showed the court clearly the processes that we went through to declare the child free for adoption. And our position, even when I took the stand, you can read my evidence in court, it was very clear that if the court establishes, the matter was already in court. Yeah, if the court establishes that one, she is the mother, that was done through the DNA, the two, she is fit. And then the third thing that we said clearly is that the child be reunified if the court so determines that it's in the best interest of the child.
Coverings, the women are wearing scarves, some of the men are wearing hats and visors.
Back to the Matsonchinis, baby Jonathan's guardians. The couple has filed an application in court wanting the state to produce the minor. They have also sponsored a spirited online and media campaign to push the state to give back baby Jonathan.
I don't understand why this is happening because we haven't done anything wrong and we just love him. We love our son. That's it. We just want the best for him, and please remember this is a child that was thrown away in a garbage bag. He wouldn't be here today.
We filed an application based on the direction that our advocate gave us, and we believed that we were, and still believe that we are, in full compliance with the Kenyan law.
And that we've been granted it based on merit.
There was a report, an assessment report that was done by a children's officer who supposedly was named Pauline Muya. I'm not sure I don't know if you're aware of this, because this report actually involves you, so I might imagine that you are aware of it. That then was provided in court, upon which the court ruled in your favor.
I've never heard of the officer that you're saying, and we are not privy to any reports. We're not allowed to see any reports.
They gave a report concerning you to the court, which the authorities believe was falsified.
This is crazy. I mean, this is like, who wrote this report? I've never heard of this person.
We can say really clearly that we're not privy to any documents from the Children's Department, and that, as I'm sure, is part of the Kenyan law.
Their lawyer, Dunstan Omari, himself a former children's officer, was not available for an interview after several requests. It is in the process that we realized that in the wake of the emerging events, the couple had fired Omari. There was a point in which you wanted to take the baby out of the country, supposedly for medical attention. Can you tell me something about that?
We basically sought leave of the court because we had a medical report, at this point many medical reports from many medical facilities saying that he would benefit from being seen by a specialist outside of Kenya.
In their application to the court to allow them fly baby Jonathan out of the country for specialized medical care, they attached several medical reports. As guardians, they were not allowed to leave the area of jurisdiction with the minor, coming at a time when the blanket ban on intercountry adoption was already in force. On 7th February 2018, Magistrate Otindo allowed the couple to travel with the minor on certain conditions. That their Kenyan employer undertakes that the couple will return with the minor. That they serve the court and the Kenyan embassy in the UK with the residence of the child while over there, and that the Kenyan embassy and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs be served with the orders for enforcement. But the couple opted not to travel in spite of getting leave of the court.
That they needed to essentially indemnify that we would return with the child. The issue became that I don't have a Kenyan employer, and neither does Daisy, and so there was no one to indemnify. And when we went to basically get we had someone take a look and see whether or not it would be a problem to apply for a visa. We were told, look, unless you can comply 100% with this provision, which it doesn't sound like you can't, don't apply, because if you're rejected for a visa, it becomes very hard to get one in the future.
They later wrote to Labour and Social Protection Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani asking for special consideration to allow them fly the child to the UK. Instead, the CS constituted an advisory committee chaired by one Ngei Mutinda to look into the case. The report highlights irregularities in the process of acquiring guardianship and, alarmingly, that the child could have been a victim of trafficking in the process of flying him out. The recommendations included the withdrawal of the child from the couple and subsequent placement with the Child Welfare Society of Kenya, that a medical assessment be done on the child to ascertain his health status, that the Child Welfare Society conduct a thorough family tracing exercise in an effort to preserve his birth family, and that the DCI investigate Bishop Gathoni Kirima, the lady who introduced Daisy to the child in 2016.
You have the right to come in.
It is this 13th December 2018 report that informed the rescue operation at the Matsonchinis on 5th April 2019.
No, you first. No.
Why are all these people
You're in my home.
Yes, but
Yeah.
police officers.
I understand.
NTV has also obtained medical assessment reports on the baby conducted at the Kenyatta National Hospital, Nairobi Hospital, and a neurology center. They have given the child a clean bill of health, contradicting the reports by the couple. We have also learned that authorities are investigating the couple further. The areas of interest include this website, supposedly opened by the couple to raise over 3 million shillings for adoption. At Baby Edward's adoptive parents, the anxiety is palpable. Charles Omanga and his wife Washeke have maintained that they acted in good faith in the journey of acquiring custody of the minor.
Once the application is made and you're approved for the application, you have an interview where the home, I believe it's the home, now tells you who is available. They present certain documents to you speaking about each child who is available at that time for you to see and see whether you will have a connection with and a bonding stage with, and then go ahead.
When you realize that there might have been certain flaws on the part of the children's home, the police, and the adoption agency that you worked with, what was your reaction?
It was during the case itself. That is when through affidavits, I think, that were presented in court, speaking to the other respondents and how the process had happened. That's when we started to learn about that entire process.
Have you been in contact with the New Life Home Trust and the adoption agency, Little Angels, to just try to get clarification on some of these concerns that are being raised about the issue of this child?
I think as adoptive parents, I think we've gone through where we started. Yeah, we cannot speak for anything that happened before. Yeah, we came, we found a child, we fell in love, the child was declared free for adoption, and we started our life together. Of course, the bonds that happen with the child when you start a life together, any parent has that bond with the child. So anything we've done is in relation to that bond.
It's very difficult for us to question the people who are entrusted to make those decisions. I think, do we ask ourselves alone, could there? We do.
What I think is coming about that concerns you is a moral obligation that at the point in which the court proceedings, where the mother was, and you knew that the mother wanted her child back, but you insisted on keeping the child.
Given that we didn't know this information, and we were the ones who were called into a court process, our assumption is also that it is the same court that will be able to go through the due diligence and research and understanding of this matter to determine what is in the best interest of our child.
But when you realize that the mother was available and wanted back the child, and that the law even guards her rights to actually get back the child, why did you not feel that it was the moral thing to do for you was give back?
If you read those court documents about the state of mind, it points in a very different direction. And we did have that moral discussion in our own home, because we understood exactly the gravity of what was going on.
We gave testimony, the biological mother did give testimony, and the court determined, as you've seen in the documents, that, and even in the same act, they do say that, but they only say it's paramount that they take the best interest of the child. The court determined it was the best interest of the child to remain in our custody.
What have you done since? Have you sought any legal recourse?
In our highly emotive state, we went to court. Upon realizing that won't bring him back, upon realizing that it's going to be another process, another 3-4 year process of determining issues and items about what other people didn't do or did, etc., we realized that that can't be our journey anymore. And we withdrew that case, and we withdrew that application. What we're trying to do, as we're saying here, this has to be about families. It has to be about where it should have started, with a conversation with us as parents saying, can we mediate a situation here? Is there a space for co-parenting? Is there a space that he does not have to know black or white? Our son will only heal if we ourselves as humans, as these two families, heal. Whether it's state-led or whether it is even human-led, elder-led, church-led, prayer-led, that's where we want to go.
As the child, and the child has to be given that privacy. When you talk about
The government insists that it acted in good faith and for nothing but the safety of the two children.
when circumstances raise a lot of questions, a lot of doubts about your sincerity, about the processes that was followed, when maybe certain documents that were used, cast doubts. So the first thing to do is just to make sure that the child is safe. Then we argue the matter in court.
The manner in which the rescue operations were carried out, in terms of police officers storming into houses with the guns, in some cases, and snatching the child or the children away, the kind of psychological disturbance that caused. What is your reaction to that? Do you think that was the best approach?
When the police made that decision, it must be informed on the basis of an imminent, situations that will not have even reversed. But I will leave it to them.
Many people might argue that yes, there might have been flaws, but these people got these children and built a bond with them. These children have known them throughout their lives, and then now they're being plucked and taken elsewhere. That sort of causes some sort of psychological disturbance on the part of the child and the parents even.
The child is taken away from the child without her knowledge and then given to a stranger. And the stranger now develops relationship with the child. But the child does not have capacity to know whether this is the mother or the other one is the mother. Biologically, through examination, you are able to test the DNA that this is the mother. And if there are doubts on her ability to raise this child, she has relatives, she comes from a society that is willing to give that support. So that is period. I don't think there's even much discussion that needs to be done. When we are dealing with foreign nationals, whether this child has a parent or not, and there's a moratorium in place which was informed by very disturbing reports. So when there's this in force, how do you sneak away, how do you want attempt to take away the child out of the country? This is a Kenyan child. We cannot guarantee safety of a Kenyan child outside this boundary.
The High Court did allow them to adopt the child, but orders were gotten from a lower court by the Child Welfare Society, which is sort of in subordination to some extent, that then gave the child back to their kin.
If the mother of this child is traced, and the child has already been surrendered for adoption, and a care of another parent, and the mother is there, and she is willing to support, to take away the child, who can deny? Will the person denying, is it operates under which kind of environment? You deny the love of a mother, take away the child from the mother against her will, that cannot arise. It should not be allowed. It is inhuman.
What if the mother was found to be unfit?
Well, you know, but that does not guarantee there are a lot of other options. That child can be placed under, you know, a relative. The law provides for that guardianship. It provides for foster care. But how do you now bypass the mother, the relatives who are willing, even including the grandfather who was willing, you know, to take care of the child and grow? You deny all this, and you say, no, this child is better placed, given to a stranger, to be a child of a stranger. That should not be allowed.
That then justifies the issue of getting lower orders from lower courts?
Well, I will not go into those specific issues, but I want to tell you that whether you know the order was gotten from a higher court and it raises doubts, it must be challenged.
Some of the failures are from the system. You're talking about the police, you're talking about the lawyers, you're talking about the courts, you're talking about even the Department of Children's Services, that then result in children being taken back from parents who perhaps might not have committed any faults.
Unfortunately, there are also cartels in systems, and there are also instances where we are being informed that there are collusion between some of our children officers and some police, but internally we have done an audit of our own system, and we know where the problem is, and we are addressing that strongly.
These two cases that we are having right now, if there's some sort of criminal culpability, why haven't we had any convictions or arrests?
Our role is to make sure that, you know, those loopholes are filled, so that, you know, the system is foolproof. And anybody in between who wants to tamper with the system, whether they're children officers or lawyers, must be dealt with.
The government says it is working towards deinstitutionalizing children. Currently, there are over 850 children's homes in the country with up to 42,000 children. There are also 6 adoption societies licensed to place children for alternative care. The government agency Child Welfare Society of Kenya has not been carrying out its adoption mandate. For babies Jonathan and Edward, they might have been oblivious of the events that have left them oscillated from the baby court to the court of law, but it will certainly have a lasting imprint on their lives. Edmond Nyabola, NTV investigates.